What's going on, man? Hi. You're back with the toe. Back with the little penis toe.
Um, hey man, how's it going? I just got out of the shower. So all right, I have this friend. His name is John Gertis, and he and I met because our kids go to the same school. And I remember Robin Phillips just being like, he's a drummer, he's gonna want to talk to you, and which is automatically you're like, you feel this pressure to talk about drum stuff or something. But Robin was but Robin was right, and it was fun to talk to him. And I remember going to a birthday party where all our kids were, that was at Robin's house. And then he had a golf cart that was at Robin's house because he lives in our neighborhood. And I jumped in the golf cart with him mid party and went down to his place to check out his drum set and stuff, you know
Yeah.
and played his drums. We played and shit. But anyway, since then, and that was years ago now, but since then he has like shocked me occasionally. It's almost, I mean, I'm going to say 95% Jeff Porcaro, like tidbits or trivia or something, right?
Oh, okay.
So like one time, I just remember one time I was here in Brownfield, and he shot me a text, and he was like, "Listen to Low Down Dirty Shame." It's, or whatever that song is, Boz Scaggs. He was
Right.
like,
Yeah.
it's Jeff Porcaro. And he was like, listen to the hi-hats or something. And like, and it made sense to me. Like, there are two hi-hat tracks is the thing with that. One of them's doing
Okay.
16th notes, and one of them's doing real quiet eighth notes.
Hmm.
You would never notice it, really. I mean, unless you were really listening for it. But it was one of those catches where I was like, dude, your ears are on fire to be able to, pick shit up like that. Since then, I mean, he's just been like, it seems like constantly he's saying, that's Jeff Porcaro, right? And
That's a
here's an
safe bet.
example.
That's a safe bet. Just assume
Dude,
everything's Jeff Porcaro.
I know. And he actually used that against me. It was great. It was perfect. I mean, so 2 weeks ago we went to a birthday party or something, and me and Robin and him and some other people were talking about shit. Somehow Christopher Cross came up. You know, the the when
Yeah.
you get caught between the moon and that's this particular song. And I looked over at him, and sure enough, he was like, "That's Jeff Porcaro. You know that, right?" You know what I mean? And I was like, "Damn, really?" And I even called him midweek the next week because I was trying to remember what song he was talking about. I was going to check it out and listen to see if it was him. But then he came to my birthday party, John did. And we were like all playing cornhole or something. And damn it, I can't remember what song it was. I mean, it wasn't this, but somehow I'm gonna say Howard Jones or something came up. And he was
Yeah.
like,
Okay.
and he
Okay.
goes, that's Jeff Porcaro on that. And I was like, and he's like, no, I'm just kidding. That's not Jeff Porcaro. I mean, he set me up with the
Wow.
perfect everything is Jeff Porcaro stuff. What he was actually saying is that it was Phil Collins on No One Ever Is to Blame.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
did
Okay.
have he
Okay.
did
Yeah.
have a
Yeah.
good singer, but it wasn't Jeff Porcaro. I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah.
So since he's my Jeff Porcaro guy, and I mean, he named like a half a dozen or a dozen, maybe, shit on Thriller. I knew about the Al Jarreau, stuff, but I mean, it just had me freaked out a little bit. And that's why I listened to Katie Lied the other day when I ran. So I just wanted to hear top to bottom, what does he do with it? And I'm going to stop talking, but, because so I listened to it and I really enjoyed Katie Lied. And it,
Yeah.
it, it like, except for, I'll say that that's Steely Dan's Pew album. I mean, because it's got that sound on everything. Pew, pew,
Oh,
pew,
oh,
pew, pew, pew,
yeah.
pew.
It's got some
Yeah,
sitar. Yeah. Some electric
whatever.
sitar. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So that's how I can identify that album. But it I listened to it because of him, but also I couldn't help but think about the conversation that you and I had, which I think needs to be said, that after the drum off between the Buddy Rich drum off, between Steve
Kaliuta,
Gadd, Steve Gadd,
Weckl.
Kaliuta, and Weckl, that that's a point in time from which drum sounds, especially produced drum sounds and stuff, but even natural ones changed. That's when everybody got the fucking rims mounts. Everybody's toms were the same size, and the cymbals were, everything was articulatable,
Yeah.
that they
Don't
were
go too
thick
far down this
enough.
road, Dave. Don't go too far down this road, but you can reference it.
Okay, fine.
We don't want to have
Really?
this conversation.
Okay,
That's
fine.
going to need like 2 videos.
Okay, fine. So listening to Katie Lied, though, I realized that's what Jeff Porcaro represents. Is like, I mean, his drums sound awesome, and they sound taped up and tuned like he would tune them. It doesn't seem to have much to do with whatever else Steely Dan has ever done. I mean, it just sounds like him. I mean, you hear some super flappy spots in the
Yeah.
drums, super flappy spots, occasionally like a dead spot or something.
Yeah.
Occasionally you'll hear a ringing floor tom, a whoa, and it's just like, this is the drum set that you're going to use. You just work with it. You just work with what you got, and it makes such a nice fat round sound, even with all its dead spots and you know tiny imperfections. I mean, that's what makes it awesome. So I
Yeah.
wanted to tell my John Curtis, Jeff Porcaro joke story, but then also, you know, uh, I just had a brain fart, I
Okay.
guess.
Well,
But then also the
yeah.
drum sounds, a little bit of the drum sound
Yeah.
story.
The so his yeah, man, yeah, I think Katie Lied is my favorite Steely Dan album. Um, or at least I want it to be. But and yeah, his drumming is great on there. The only thing that's weird on that album to me is comes from him though, which is the sound of his crash. Which I mean, I don't mind it, but it's really weird and it doesn't make sense. The crash sound, it sounds like he's hitting a crash that sounds like a splash. And it
Dude, I
and
was
it
just gonna
sounds like a
say that. Yeah.
sample. It sounds, and every time he hits it, it sounds like a sample on a drum machine because it's really consistent. It sounds like he's. I mean, it has that splash quality when you just whack a splash, which
Yeah.
which is part of. I want to talk about. Well, I was imagining us talking about 3 things. One of which includes addressing a splash later on, but I mean, it almost has like a pole quality, like when you smack a pole with a piece of metal, but
Yeah.
not exactly. It just like it gives me the same kind of feeling. It's like pleasing, but it doesn't fit traditionally in with the sound, and that's something that's weird to me just thinking about like that because I knew they were like they're big recording freaks and wanting to overproduce stuff and just like get the perfect thing and um it's just weird that they selected that they were like okay with that cymbal sound, that they were like, let's just yeah, this is the one we want to have on the album.
I agree. I noticed his crash sound, and I've been thinking about it a little bit lately since I've gotten into the cymbal lathing shit and stuff. I mean, but back in the day, I don't know if it holds true for you, but I mean, just a typical drum set, the standard crash size was like 16.
Hmm.
That's just,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
mean,
no,
that's
you're
just
right.
that there's
Isn't
your
that is
crash size,
that's
and
not
and it
standard anymore?
I don't know, because since that time, my crashes have gotten bigger. Like when I got a 17 and then an 18,
Okay.
I was like, I could never go back to that smaller. Like it doesn't seem to it seems to do what you're talking about a little bit more by nature, especially if you're talking about like I don't know, just one of those real brassy ones, like a Paiste or something. It's just like,
Okay.
it's just like,
Yeah, but I mean, you don't
and
hear
there's
that. I
not
mean,
a whole lot of
if that was a standard
articulation.
and a lot of people were doing it, I've never heard that cymbal sound on another record before. I mean, that's that particular sound, and it almost made me think like, well, I mean, he wouldn't have used different. I mean, he would have used that cymbal on other albums. I mean, that was his drum kit, or maybe it wasn't his drum kit. Maybe he was using something they had in the studio. But if it was, he would have drug it along and you would hear that on other things. So it made me think like, did they mic that cymbal specifically and then do some weird EQ tweaking, to make it that way? Like, were they
Mm,
trying to make it sit in the mix in a particular way? So I don't know. I have no idea.
I don't know. But on that note, I'll say that the clap stack is the new crash or is the new splash. The clap stack is the new, like when we were young, we would have gotten a splash cymbal. And it's almost antiquated now, unless you're still playing in the Dave Matthews Band or something. Now you just get the clap stack.
God, I mean, what is a clapstack?
I've never,
Is that an instrument? I don't know. I don't. Yeah, I haven't bought.
dude, I mean, we've done it, we've had them, we just homemade them. It's just like when you get two wonky cymbals and put them together and it just goes
Oh,
when
okay.
you hit it,
Yeah.
like,
Okay.
but they sell those as a pre-made, you don't just get
Oh
your
man.
old cymbals and stack them up.
All
They
right.
they come that way.
I'm gonna read you something. I made a post today, but again, it
Okay.
goes. I mean, it's like I kind of don't want to read it just because it's like it. I mean, I just feel like I'm gonna steal all my licks of what I want to expand on, but I just feel like I want to. So I just posted a picture of that Dave Douglas CD that I got,
Yeah, yeah,
and I was
yeah.
just talking about it. Um, so I was just saying about like that I saw him in Eugene when I was younger, and in 96. It's cool. Uh, let's see where. Man, yeah. Well, there's lots of things. I mean, so address a lot of things. I talk about like how even there's white people on the album that they're like okay, to some degree or like listenable. But okay, so I said the only annoyance here talking about the album is that the drummer has a splash cymbal and that he uses it in a
Yeah.
jazz setting. And I wrote, if that doesn't mean anything to you, then you may be beyond help. Um, there are certain
Yeah.
cymbals that should be at the bottom of any drummer's list to add to their drum kit. Let's see, at the very bottom should be an ice bell. Uh, I mean,
Yeah.
there are only a couple of instances where an ice bell might fit. One on a metal track uses an occasional accent, and the other in Primus,
You
both of
totally.
which are really bad to begin with. Then the next, I mean, and, we can go. I want to go into these more. I just try to condense this in a paragraph. All right. So the next to last symbol that should be on a drummer's list is a splash. The only decent use of a splash, in parenthesis, as it was designed for, um, that I've ever heard is Stuart Copeland in The Police, and I don't care for any one
I
of
was
those
just gonna say
lyrics.
that,
Um,
yeah.
Although I wrote in parenthesis, I do love Andy Summers as a person and being interviewed though. I mean, he's funny. I like him, but I mean honestly, I don't like the Police, and I fucking hate Stuart Copeland's drumming. But the
I
same
think my friend John Gertis does too. Go ahead. Please keep going.
the third to last symbol that should be on a drummer's list should be the China. Um, I didn't write China Boy. I was thought about writing China Boy, but I was like, that I started like thinking about it, like, wow, it's like you just think, like, oh, it's like the China Boy, but that's like Chinaman. That's just like a step away from saying that Chinaman. But
Yeah.
okay, so if you didn't hear a China, if you are a drummer and you didn't hear a China cymbal and have this thought to yourself that I like the idea, but want to find a naturally, not intentionally designed at the factory, trashy regular budget cymbal to stack on another or to use solo to fill that function versus a factory made China cymbal, then you're contributing to a problem. Anyway,
Okay.
that's it.
I mean, you basically are summing up everything that we just talked about.
So there's nothing
Yeah.
more to say about it. I mean,
Well,
because I
there's
wanted
one
to talk
more.
about ice bells and China boys,
Of
Chinaman's boys.
course. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, I got two things to say about an ice. There's a drummer that I know and that I still know that you know that I mean, I'm gonna say probably copied me after I got my ice bell because of Primus once or twice, and then promptly lost it or gave it away. I mean, it weighs 50 pounds and and it's a cereal bowl size. But, like after I got mine and realized how dumb it was, then I saw that he had gotten one. I hope to God he still has it. And he had all of his cymbals, including the ice bell, on cymbal springs,
Oh
you
man.
know. So the ice bell was just like
I imagine more being like
yeah.
like the rotten whatever that what are this at the playground, the kids things, the little horses they ride that are on springs, like when
Yeah,
the
that's it.
the like the 225-pound adult gets on it, it's like
Right. That's it, man. That's it. I hope he still has it and still doesn't use it, but lets it just.
oh my
So
God.
yeah, there's that. And then the other thing I wanted to say about it was that I think, I mean, I don't know which that a subcategory of China is swish,
I
a
forgot about the
swish
swish. I forgot
symbol.
about the swish
It's
cymbals.
just, but it's just a lower profile, bigger China with less lip and a
Yeah.
rivet,
Oh
a
yeah.
couple rivets in it.
Yeah.
And I mean, there's some like I want to say there's a market for that in jazz. Like I know there is. I've never heard anybody really use it that I like. I mean, and it does just sound like a trashy ride cymbal, but it's a thing. And to me, like a flat ride and a swish both miss the mark by the same amount. I mean,
Yeah.
they
Oh
just
man. Yeah.
man, I hate a glassy flat ride. And I've tried to play one like on other people's drum sets, and I'm just like, my first instinct is to hit it with the side of the stick as hard as I can. Like you just want to know what kind of volume it
Yeah.
would
What can this do?
possibly, yeah, what can it do? I mean,
Yeah.
and then inevitably, you're like, well, let's get up there where the bell is and see what happens. And I mean, it's just that it leaves you flat in all of those departments. It sucks. And then you put rivets in it, and it's just like a piece of glass with rivets. It's terrible. I've never I don't understand it.
Man.
So anyway, all right.
Yeah. What I mean, I feel like, yeah, man. I mean, I have this feeling like there's more to dig into about either one of the splashes. Okay, well, splash. I mean, yeah. First of all, I mean, it shouldn't like on this particular CD, the Dave Douglas Liberation. I mean, it's just the guys. I mean, he sounds like he's got a great ride. His drums sound fine. There's everything sounds fine. It's in a jazz setting. Then he starts hitting this splash. I mean, it's like what? I mean, did were you like I mean, did you forget to? Did you still have your Dennis Chambers ripoff kit set up from whatever the top 40 gig that you were on a session with? I mean, like late 90s top 40. I mean, but that's again that goes to what you said earlier about the Dave Matthews.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
God, that shit is just incredible. I mean, it's incredibly stupid. Then you have like the
I
splash trees.
yo, any kind of tree, any kind of cymbal tree, you know, you've you're already in jail. You're in prison. You're in drummer prison. Um, man, I really like that. was it 17 was the track on the Dave Douglas?
I don't know. I don't know the names of the tracks. Which I
Okay, well
mean, but
it was fast. It was a pretty fast one,
okay.
and it they modulated through the the third, it just it modulated a lot. There were a lot of different feels in it, but it
Okay.
didn't
I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
I guess I feel about those third time and like even to Latin or 6/8, when they modulate through those kinds of things in a jazz setting, I feel the same way as I do about modulating through different time signatures going from 4/4 to 7/8 in a rock song or progressive, like just as long as it's on my radar that it's happening, but as long as it's, there was like a good intention behind it, I'm
Yeah.
fine with it. I mean, I'm more than fine with it. I can, I mean, I like it. I like it that it happens when it's natural like that. But when that they just sneakily sat around and said, okay, let's put a bar of 7 in here. You
And that would
can,
be like Steve Coleman, right? Steve Coleman and the Metrics. Is that his name? Right? Steve Coleman and the Metrics.
I don't know that.
Oh, okay. I thought we had a discussion about him in the '90s sometime. I mean, he's
I'm
he's
sure. I mean, we
he's a
probably did,
he's
but
a sax player, and it's like I mean, he's basically wants to be a progressive rock musician, but he's like come up in the jazz scene. Is that his name? Fucking Steve Coleman and
you're gonna
something.
look it
I want
up.
to say Coleman is. Um, hang on, let me look it up real quick. Yeah. Well, do you have your phone? What are you on? Your phone or your laptop?
Yeah, yeah, I can look it up.
Yeah, look it up. I mean, just so you can like play it real quick. I mean, just if I don't want to take up airtime. You're just listening to something. But let's see. Coleman, metrics,
Yeah,
Steve Coleman
Steve
metrics.
Coleman and the Five Elements.
Maybe that's it. Maybe is metrics. Oh wait. Well, I'm looking at Steve Coleman and the metrics. A Tale of Three Cities. Which one am I? Which CD did I? I used to have one.
Oh, here it is. I got it.
It's like something from the early '90s. There was like, he had an album that was like,
Here it is. I got it.
it's not picking it up. But can you hear?
Okay.
I mean, you sample it for a second. Tell me what.
Oh,
What year
that's
is
not
it?
it.
What year are you listening to? I
I
think
got
the
it.
early '90s is. I mean, I know that he may have like changed what he was doing. I'm just familiar with his stuff in the like the early to
No,
mid
I got
'90s.
it. I got it. I got it. 95.
Okay, is he doing
95.
it? Is that kind of what you're
You
talking
could,
about? Like, it's
yeah,
like
yeah, yeah,
intentionally, it's
yeah,
just like now I'm playing 11, now
yeah.
I'm playing 13.
Yep. I got it. I got it. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Right, right. So anyway, on that Douglas album, it they did a good job, man. They did a real good job. And I felt like I got a feel for the drummer on that one. It's his drums were tight, like and high. I don't know if you
Yeah,
noticed that. But his toms were everything was cranked up and stuff, but the cymbal sounds and the attention behind it were really good, and he sounded great. He was just doing, yeah, it sounded like
yeah,
newer Winton with younger players is what it sounded like. That the composition wasn't as good, like it wasn't
yeah,
as solid, but the type of playing was the same.
yeah, yeah. And anyway, that's good stuff. So man, what's wrong with Keith Carlock?
Backward doubles. I mean, backward doubles.
Backward
I don't
doubles.
know. Yeah, da-dat, 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 da-dat. I mean, I think he gave himself away on the video.
Yeah, I sent
Da-dat,
you a
da-dat,
video
da-dat,
of
da-dat.
of him like talking about his trick.
Yeah. Which I don't know if you remember it, but when we talked about, when we were starting to play rudiments again and stuff. I mean, I said that I agree with his, I agree
The
with his,
exercise.
with the exercise, but it's gone too far. It's gone too far. You took it too far.
Man, yeah, you were talking about so a little while ago you were talking about, well, I like what you were saying about the triangle wheel of Steve Gadd and Elvin Jones, and then you were relating that to Keith Carlock a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, do you want me to say it again? That it's like
Yeah, I mean it.
I guess there's Elvin Jones and Steve Gadd have backward triplets, both, and both on a little bit different at a little bit different angle. And you said this, they drive the jalopy. You can hear the jalopy coming.
Yeah,
I mean, or coming down the street.
yeah,
So, but it's exciting. That's what makes them exciting.
yeah.
Just seeing them get up on it. And you made this point, but um, it's it's like all of them have a little bit different shaped triangle wheel.
Hmm.
That you called it the jalopy, but I called it the triangle wheel. And it's like, obviously, if it gets going fast enough, it still
It's gonna
comes
come
down
up
the
with a rhythm.
street.
It's gonna have a rhythm to it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's going to have a rhythm to it, and depending on which side is a little bit longer and what speed they're going is like what kind of what kind of hump they have coming down the street. But it's a
Love it.
pleasant
Love
one.
it.
Is a real pleasant, it's a pleasant one. You're excited about it, and for that matter, same as a triangle wheel, you'd be like, don't stop, don't, you may not ever get going again. You can't get going from one of the flat sides, so it creates a tension of, keep it rocking. So you called Tony Williams playing bubbly.
Yeah.
Like, it's he's in a bubbly bubble when he's in there. And it's not as, you don't think, like with Steve Gadd and Elvin Jones, I do think, do not stop. You don't know how to stop. You don't know how to get going again, but you know how to do the middle part. So make sure that middle part keeps rocking to create that tension. Tony Williams, I don't feel that way about. I mean, he can get in there and bubble around and bubble back out, and there's no fear that he's not gonna get it going again or something like that. I mean,
Yeah.
he understands what he's doing. Keith Carlock is the far outside of the example, and it's just like, he's going so fast on the triangle, and a pretty even triangle, that it's just like, it's
Yeah.
going,
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
it's skipping down the street. And it, by anyone else's appearance, it looks really smooth. It looks like a round wheel, but it's just that we know that sitting inside of the vehicle, you're running on tips, you're running on triangle tips the whole time. And it seems the faster he goes, the smoother it would appear to be.
And it
But it's
seems
just,
bubbly. That's what I was getting at. Is that it's like you listen to it and you're like, this seems bubbly like Tony Williams, but it's not pleasing like but Tony Williams. It's a different. It's a triangle bubble. He's got the triangle bubble going. He's hit some kind of groove where it seems like he's floating around, but it's not. It's too extreme. You go ahead.
yeah, it's floating. It's, what the coronavirus looks like. you know, you know, it's the ball with the spikes. And there you go. That's it.
It's the
That's it.
coronavirus.
That's it.
Oh my God. Yeah. God. I mean, I think I think that this is like the lowest reduction of him and his playing. I mean, it's like, because I dislike Keith Carlock so much that I would like want dialogue to continue going about it, but I don't think it can. I mean, I
No,
think,
that might
you know,
be.
that's it. So he just stumbled on the wrong triangular bubble. He got caught in it, and he's just like, it almost imagine it, it's like those like when you see it in the 1970s on Sesame Street when they have the modern dancers that are inside the fabric thing
Yeah,
and you
yeah,
can't see through and
yeah.
stuff, and they're trapped. It's like, I'm trying to get out. I'm trying to get out. It's like their limbs poking at the opaque surface. I mean, I imagine him being
Yeah,
inside of a he's trapped.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's fun to think about the coronavirus variants. I mean, because that's what it is. Just like a different spike formation, same bubble, but different, you know, a different spike variation that, evades uh the vaccination, and it evades your natural defenses. Like what the regular spike bubble looks like, but you take a couple out here and there and
Is
it can
Jack
squeak through.
DeJohnette, is he like the weakest variant?
That's tough.
I mean, I'm not saying I think he is. I just want him to be. But I mean, if we're talking in terms of like putting all the drummers we don't like in some kind of a coronavirus variant, you know.
I'd like for the I'd like for Jack DeJohnette's coronavirus variant to be his specialty is that the spikes are made of wet clay, you know.
Just
So you
becoming
don't you
deformed every time.
right, yeah, just like smushing in on one side and you don't hear them coming at all. You don't hear them coming or breaking. They just you know stick to you.
God, love it. Well, you know what, man? I think I need to get going. But I mean, I think we said it. I think we said it all right there.
Yeah, it's pretty good stuff.
Thank
All
you.
right, man. See
Goodbye.
ya.